Hey everybody, welcome back to Chip Tutorials. Today we're going to continue our conversations on getting started with Cortex M0 microcontrollers. In this episode, we're going to be talking about converting analog to digital signals using the ADC and taking real-life senses and utilizing the touch libraries to get a digital feedback. Today, like always, we're going to be utilizing our PIC32CM-J800 Curiosity Nano along with our Curiosity Nano Explorer board. We're using the board today to utilize the onboard potentiometer. This is what's going to be used to test our ADC. And we're also going to be using the touch button on the Curiosity Nano, and this is how we're going to interact with our PTC. Let's get into these labs. ADC stands for Analog to Digital Converter. Basically, it's how we turn real-world signals like voltage from a sensor into digital data, ones and zeros that a microcontroller can understand. The more bits an ADC has, the more precise it can be. For example, a 12-bit ADC might be able to measure down to 1 millivolt, but a 16-bit one can go all the way down to 62 microvolts. That's 16 times more the detail. Now, we won't dive into all the technical details or errors that can come up in ADC readings, but here's what matters. The PIC32CM-J800 and other Cortex M0 microcontrollers that Microchip offers can take readings up to 16 bits using techniques like oversampling to get better accuracy. For embedded engineers, this is super useful. Think of reading a signal from a potentiometer. Whether it's tracking rotation or getting better user input, you want those readings to be fast and reliable. In this next demo, we're going to be using an ADC to convert our potentiometer signal into a timer period, which will control the delay on our LED. Let's check it out. Hey, welcome back to our project workspace. Here we're going to add in our ADC and our TC modules just for right now. Before we actually get into setting up our peripherals, let's talk about clock configuration under the Plugins tab. Here in clock configuration, this is where you can actually mess around with your clock generators, your specific peripheral timing, and it's all printed on this nice graphic here. This shows you all the ins and outs of the MCU timing. Here we're going to change our TC0 timing so it's different from our ADC0 timing. We're going to go to our general clock generator 1, we're going to change its source and add a divisor, and this is going to be big enough to notice the change. We can also verify the settings right here in the original tab. Now that we're done with that, we can take a look at some of our peripheral settings. We can change our ADC sample length to 10 and take a look at some of the other settings that we're able to switch, such as our positive input, our result resolution, conversion trigger, and even our reference. Here in our TCO module, we have a few settings, but we're only going to have to change 3. We're going to change our prescaler, we're going to change when the prescaler and the counter reload, and we're also going to change our time period to 1000 milliseconds. Here are a couple other settings that you can choose, such as capture and compare, and these are going to be for your PWM generation and measuring settings. And now we only have one more setting to add, our LED pin. Our LED pin. And according to our CNano user guide, that's going to be PB17. So we can change this to LED 0 and also set it as an output. And then last thing too is to make sure our ADC pin is an ADC pin. We can generate our settings and we're ready to go. To make this lab work, we are going to have to make a change to the board and add a jumper. What we are going to do is disconnect our potentiometer from the original pin it's set to, and we're going to connect it to our ADC 0 pin and disconnect it from our original button 1. What we're going to do is we're going to take from our line of headers, those headers off, and I suggest leaving them on the left side since we already have a header to access the original pins. And what I do is I add onto ADC 0 to the potentiometer, and we're ready for our lab. Welcome back to our main.c. You can see here that it's a pretty quick and simple application. All we're doing right now is we're enabling our ADC and setting up a timer callback. So anytime the timer reaches the end of its period, it's going to reach this interrupt and it's going to send us into this loop. And what it's going to do is it's going to stop timer. It's going to take the ADC result and store it into a 16-bit unit. It's going to toggle our LED, and then it's going to load that unit for our ADC result back into the timer period, thus creating a sort of ADC-controlled delay for our LED. Let's program and actually check this out. So right now it's just blinking how it would normally blink, but if we wanted to make that change, we would just twist our potentiometer. So we could turn it to go really slow, or we could turn it to go really fast. Another real-world signal that you may run into in embedded technologies is touch. Our microcontrollers support touch input using something called capacitive touch, or cap touch for short. Instead of using a regular button, cap touch detects a change in capacitance when your finger gets close or touches a surface. One of the biggest advantages, though, is it can work through a protective layer, meaning no exposed buttons, which can help protect against dirt, moisture, and wear. That's how we actually get the sleek, buttonless looks on boards like the Curiosity Nano. Cap touch is also a low cost and easy add to your PCB because it's all managed within PCB routing. It senses your touch with no mechanical switch, which cuts down on price and overall complexity. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to set up a simple touch button using the Touch Library plugin and its API. Let's check it out. Here we are back in our project workspace. For the touch libraries, it's going to be super simple. You just have to add the touch library. If you don't already see this option, you may have to click on our content manager here and add it yourself. It's going to be under Harmony 3 touch libraries, or just touch. And it may take a second to actually load it in, but it will add in every module that you would need for the touch libraries. And so now that that's all added in, if we wanted to edit the touch libraries, we would go under the Plugins tab for Touch Configuration. Bring it open, it will send you through a tutorial showing you how to change all the settings, which buttons you can use, what's your workspace. It will give you a whole tutorial and rundown of how to use the touch libraries. So for this, all we're going to be adding is one singular button. We can make sure that we're on self-capacitance. And then here we're going to go to our Configure tab, and we're going to actually edit which pin we want. According to the C-Nano user guide, the pin is attached to PA18, so we can go through our list and add that. And now we're done with the touch libraries. We're only going to be adding in the onboard button, and now we're ready to add in our LED. So we can go back to our MCC before we generate. We can add into our pin configuration, back to PB17, and you can also notice there that on PA18 that the PTC has already taken that pin. We can switch this to an output and we're ready to generate. Now welcome back to our main.c again. Here we have a couple of APIs, but it's still, yet again, it's a really simple application, trust me. The only variable that we added was key status 0, and that's just so we can mask it with our get sensor state. Get sensor state is an API generated by the touch libraries. So once we actually have that, we can make sure by just creating a simple if-else statement. If the button is actually pressed, it will set the LED, and when it's not, it will clear it. So let's program and actually see what this demo does. And here you can see that I'm clicking the button and it turns on the LED. Even switched hands. Bringing real-world input into your embedded designs is easier than ever with Microchip's hardware and software tools. If you want to try these labs yourself, check out the links in the description. Like always, I'm going to be putting in links for MPLAB Discover, the device, and the boards we used today. If you like this video, stay tuned for future Getting Started content. And like always, happy coding!